Hey everybody, welcome to Unfiltered Connections. I'm your host, Shanique. And first, thank you for pressing play. I don't even know who's listening right now. It might be one person, it might be 10. It might be my family, it might be a complete stranger. Whoever you are, thank you. I have to be honest, before we even get into today's episode, I almost didn't do this. I've been talking about starting a podcast for a while. Every day I would say, I'm going to record tomorrow. Tomorrow will come, and I find another excuse. I need a microphone. I need a better setup. I need to figure out YouTube. I need to know what I'm doing. Then one day I stop and ask myself, what if I'm waiting on things I don't really need? Because the truth is, I have a phone, I have a voice, I have a story, and maybe that's just enough. So, if this episode isn't perfect, that's okay, because neither am I. And honestly, I don't want this podcast to be perfect. I want it to be real. That's why I called it Unfiltered Connections. I want this to be a place where we can have conversations that people don't always have out loud. The conversations people whisper about, the conversations people cry about, the conversations people avoid because they're uncomfortable. Those are the conversations I want us to have together. I want to talk about healing. I want to talk about mental health. I want to talk about relationships, friendships, faith, parenting, purpose, starting over, making mistakes, taking accountability, learning how to forgive, learning how to let go. And yes, we're going to talk about HIV too. Not because it's the only thing that makes me who I am, but because it's part of my story. And I promised myself a long time ago that I would never allow shame to tell my story for me. If you don't know me, my name is Janique. I'm a mom. I'm a business owner who's still figuring things out. I'm someone who loves creating. I love making things with my hands. I love encouraging people. I love making people laugh. But I'm also someone who's been through a lot. I've experienced a loss. I've experienced betrayal. I've experienced moments where I questioned everything. I've had days where I smiled in front of people, then went home and cried. I had seasons where I wondered if life would ever get better. Maybe you've been there too. Maybe that's why you were listening today. If so, I want you to know something. You you are not the only one. One thing I've learned is that everybody is carrying something. Everybody. Some people are carrying grief, some people are carrying anxiety, some people are carrying depression. Some people are carrying guilt or decisions they've that about the decisions that they've made. Some people are carrying secrets that they think nobody would ever understand. Some people are just tired of pretending, tired of smiling, tired of acting like everything is okay. If that's you, welcome. This is a safe space. You don't have to pretend here. Only thing you'll learn about me is that I don't have all the answers. I'm still growing, I'm still healing, I'm still learning. Sometimes I get it right, sometimes I get completely wrong, but I'm willing to be honest about it because I think honestly heals. Honesty heals. I think vulnerability heals. I think hearing somebody say me too can change somebody's life. There are so many times where I felt alone, like nobody could understand what I was going through. Then somebody shared their story, and suddenly I didn't feel so isolated anymore. That's what I want this podcast to be about. I remember a reminder that a reminder that none of us are walking through life by ourselves. We're connected even when we don't realize it. That's why this podcast isn't just about me talking. It's about us growing together. Eventually, I want to bring guests on here. People with different backgrounds, different experiences, different perspectives. People who've survived things that never thought they'd survive. People who made mistakes and found redemption. People who started over. People who are still in the middle of healing. Because healing doesn't look the same for everybody. Sometimes healing looks like therapy. Sometimes healing looks like prayer. Sometimes healing looks like setting boundaries. Sometimes healing looks like apologizing. Sometimes healing looks like walking away. And sometimes healing simply looks like getting out of bed when you didn't think you could. I also want us to talk about accountability, because healing isn't just about what happened to us. Sometimes it's about what we've done to other people too. I've made mistakes. You've probably made mistakes. The goal isn't to pretend we've always gotten it right. The goal is to become better. I think social media has made us believe we have to have everything figured out before we can help anybody. I don't believe that. I believe people connect with honesty, not perfection. If I waited until I had everything figured out, this podcast would have never happened. So here we are, learning together, growing together, healing together, one conversation at a time. If you made if you made it this far into this episode, thank you, seriously. You could have been listening to anything else. The fact that you are here means more than you probably know. I hope that every episode gives you something. Maybe it's encouragement, maybe it's a different perspective, maybe it's hope, maybe it's simply knowing someone else understands. Whatever it is, I hope you leave feeling lighter than when you came. Before we end today's episode, I want to leave you with one thought. Stop waiting until you feel ready, because you may never feel completely ready. If you're some if there's something you've been called to do, take one step, not 10, just one. Maybe your step is sending the application. Maybe it's making that phone call. Maybe it's forgiving someone. Maybe it's starting therapy. Maybe it's ending something that's hurting you. Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe it's the finally maybe it's finally pressing record. That's what today was for me. This was my first step, and I'm really glad I took it. Thank you for joining me for this very first episode of Unfiltered Connections. If this conversation spoke to you, I would love for you to subscribe, share it with someone you care about, and come back next week, because we're just getting started. Until next time, remember this: healing doesn't happen overnight. Growth isn't always comfortable, but every day is another opportunity to become the person you're meant to be. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, and remember, keep it real, keep growing, and always keep it unfiltered. I'll talk to you soon.